Hey, Firefox here. Sorry it's been such a long time, but I've had a problem with low motivation, along with doing loads of other things that I usually do. I'm unsure about what I actually want to do with this channel, if anything at all, to be honest. I mean, before I just kind of made stupid little videos because I had really nothing better to do at the time, and I was kind of in a bit of a bad place, so I did need something to do. So that was kind of like an outlet for that kind of bad time I was going through. That's not what I actually wanted to talk about today. I've seen a few videos talking about their aromantic and asexual experience, so I wanted to do the same. This is just my experience though, because everyone is different at the end of the day, so what I experience with this is not entirely the same as what other people experience with this, so just sort of take this as one view and one experience of an aromantic asexual person. So yeah, I identify as aromantic asexual, or aroace, or an ace of spades. Basically, that means I do not experience romantic, aromantic, or sexual attraction, asexual. I do, however, experience platonic and aesthetic attraction. That means I might, and usually do, see people and I think, hey, you look cool, I want to be your friend, or you're attractive. I've never felt romantic or sexual attraction. I've never really understood this thing about feeling all nervous and giddy over someone else. I've also never understood when my friends or family will look at someone, and it could just be on the street or a celebrity or someone they know or something like that, and just be like, oh yeah, I would, kind of thing. I've just never understood that. I think, well, how can you? You just see this person, how can you say, oh yeah, I want to have sex with that person? It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. The idea of a romantic relationship just isn't on my radar at all, and I'm just not interested. It's kind of... I don't even know if it's hard to explain, I just don't. The idea of sex just doesn't appeal to me either, like, just the idea of it just... I don't know, I don't quite just get it, really, if you know what I mean. Don't get me wrong, I don't have any problems with talking about it or joking about it, but just keep your sexy parts away from me, because, nah, I'm just not interested, it's disgusting. I came to this conclusion about myself in October of 2015, so at the time I'm recording this, it was about 5 months ago. At the time I was going through a group therapy session for anxiety and depression, and we were given a task where we had to write a short description about ourselves, and one of the categories on the sheet that we were given was sexuality. Up until that point, I had actually been questioning and I'd been confused about myself since I was about 13 or 14, so, or even maybe before that when I first went into senior school. I'd never actually really thought about it properly because, well, it didn't really bother me much. I just thought, whatever. But before that, I was actually in a sort of relationship between November of 2014 and March of 2015. But to me it didn't really feel like a relationship. Well, I don't know what a relationship is supposed to feel like, but to me it just didn't really feel like that. I didn't really feel any kind of connection towards it. It felt weird to call her my girlfriend. It just didn't feel right to me, it just didn't sit right, and it's not like we kind of did anything kind of romantic, like, I don't know, we went out and on dates, if you want to say that, and we kind of maybe kissed once or twice, or a couple of times, but again it just didn't feel romantic to me. So maybe looking back on it now with a bit of hindsight, maybe it was kind of a QPR, or a queer platonic relationship, but I'm still to this day actually kind of not really sure about that. Maybe she felt different, I don't know, but guess we won't actually really know, will we? I mean, up until that point, I kind of just went from the label of straight to bi to pan, but none of them kind of really sat right with me. Whenever I'd hit a really low point, so my mind would be in a really low place, I'd be quite negative or anything like that, I would actually kind of think about it and question it. But that would only kind of make me even more confused and put me into an even lower place, because I think, well, I'm not like my other friends, I'm abnormal, things like that. So when I did actually get this template in this group therapy session that I had to fill in, and I kind of looked at it and I thought, well, I don't know what to put, because I'm not, like, I kind of glanced over to everyone else's sheets and they were like, straight away they were putting down like straight, heterosexual, things like that. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't really feel right. So I kind of just put down asexual with a question mark, but also I just put down not sure. And also I put down questioning as well. It did actually take a lot for me to put it down, because I didn't really want to put a label on it, because I don't think labelling things is right. But when I did actually put it down, and I kind of thought, well, maybe this is me, I need to kind of look this up a little bit more. So when I actually went home after the session, I went onto the internet and I looked up asexuality, but I also, while I was looking it up, I came across the term aromantic as well. So I kind of like looked up posts, sort of questions and things like that on Tumblr, and it was just so relatable. I kind of was reading them and I was just thinking, well, this is me, I can understand this is what I'm feeling like. But also it kind of just sat right with me as well. Like, I felt more comfortable with this as opposed to like saying like pansexual, bisexual, straight, heterosexual. It didn't feel like I was lying. It kind of just felt appropriate. So that's kind of how I came to the conclusion on that. I kept quiet about it for like a week or so, or it might have been a little bit longer than that, I can't really remember now, but up until I got into an argument with one of my friends, which happens quite often, but I kind of hit a bit of a low point mentally, and I just thought, I need to tell someone about this. I'd already told one of my friends that I'd sort of come to a realisation about myself, but I wouldn't say anything until I was completely certain about it. So after this argument, I actually went to this person that I said I had a realisation about myself, and I told him through the private chat on Twitter. And I just kind of explained it all and just said, well, yeah, I think this is what the revelation that I kind of came to myself about the other day. And when I did tell him, because I wasn't quite sure about it, how he'd come across with it, he took it really well, and he was just like, yeah, that's cool. And he's like, actually, I had a friend who was aromantic, so yeah, I kind of understand what you're talking about and things like that. And then at the same time, I think it was about like 20 minutes or so later, I told another friend, because I said, oh, okay, well, I want to tell you, because I've just told my other friend on Twitter, so I want to tell you, so I'm just going to copy and paste the message I sent him, because it's easier than trying to explain it again. So when I told her, she read it, and she kind of just said to me, well, can I say something? Please don't take this the wrong way. And that point I was thinking, oh God, she's going to take it really badly. She's going to be like really insulted and offended and say she doesn't want to be my friend anymore. That's just the anxiety playing up. But then when I was just like, yeah, okay, be honest about it, it doesn't really bother me. I really like honesty, because while I was worried that she would say that she didn't want to be my friend anymore, I kind of know that she does really take these kind of things really well. So when she did actually say, well, actually, I think I kind of knew, all my doubts just disappeared, and I just thought, oh my God, maybe this is actually true then. So then we spoke about it a little bit. I was like, oh, how did you think you knew? And she went, I don't know, it's just like the things you were saying and like just the feeling I got from it. And I was like, all right, okay, fair enough. And like since then we've kind of like made little in-jokes between the two of us and things like that. Like we call her Zeddy Eddie, and Allo Allo, and just little stupid things like that. But it just kind of made me really happy at the time, and it still does really make me happy, the fact that she took it so well. With my mum, I kind of kept it from her for a while, like a month or two. Well, actually I think it was about a month and a half or something like that, because although she's like really good with things like this and she's quite open about it, I was just kind of a bit worried that she wouldn't understand, because I mean, when I did tell her, she'd just come home from being out with her friend, and she was a little bit tipsy, but we kind of had one of our like deep personal conversations that we have every now and then, and because I can't remember what we were talking about specifically, but I kind of said, oh, actually, I want to tell you something. I've already told two of my friends, and I kind of want to tell you about it while we're talking about this kind of stuff now. And I told her, And although I had to explain to her what it was, and she did still take it really well. She was like, well, I don't want to say that you're wrong, but you might not have found the right person yet, like they do. But she says that might be the case, but I'm not doubting what you're saying, because if this is how you really feel, then I'm not going to judge you on that. And that made me feel really happy. And since then, sort of, we've mentioned it a couple of times. We actually had a conversation about it the other day, and so that's come along really well. I told another friend in January, so when I'm recording this, that'll be last month. And with her, I was a bit worried about telling her, because it can be kind of difficult on how she takes things. It's hard to judge how she'll take things. I mean, she's really open about these kind of things. And in something she writes, she does actually have an aromantic asexual character. And I've kind of dropped a few subtle hints, but I don't think she really picked up on them. Unlike my other our mutual friend, the one that I told before, she knew. So when I did start making subtle hints after she knew, she kind of picked up on them. And like later on, she'd message me and she'd just be like, hey, I saw what you did there. But when I did tell her, I just thought I worded it specifically to say, like, well, you know how people can be. They might not take it properly, or they might take it wrongly. But then when I did actually tell her properly, she was like, oh no, that's cool, just so long as you're happy with yourself. And then she said, oh my gosh, you're like this character. And she went, please don't take that the wrong way. I was like, why would I take that the wrong way? This character's awesome. Like, I really like this character. And so she took it really well as well, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but it did make me really happy that she did take it that well. As with my family, my mum has told 3 family members, with my own permission, of course. She did ask if it was okay. And I said, well, yeah, it's fine. It doesn't really bother me that much. That's her partner, her partner's sister, and her partner's mother. Our family's really confusing, so... But, so yeah, she's told them, and that doesn't really bother me. They've taken it really well as well, and they just said, well, just as so long as she's happy with herself, it doesn't really matter. I've also told the boyfriend of one of my friends, because the 3 of us, well, me, my friend, and her boyfriend were at his house, and we were kind of just talking, and I mentioned it, and he didn't really understand, so he was like asking questions to be able to sort of like understand better, and so he can sort of understand pretty much. And yeah, he took it really well, and he doesn't really like judge me or anything on that, and because he's a really nice guy anyway, and I approve muchly of their relationship. But he's also really great, and I think we were talking the other week, and I mentioned Avon, the Asexual Visibility and Education Network. And he asked whether it was worth looking up, just to look at the forums, understand things, and like just learn a bit more. And so I said, yeah, it was worth it. And he actually said to me that he was glad to be able to see the changes as asexuality and asexuals become more visible. And I thought that was like really nice comment. I mean, yeah, because I mean, like, it's not, well, we're friends, but it's because it's my friend's boyfriend that, well, how we became friends, but just the idea that her boyfriend does kind of approve of it as well, and he's okay with that. Also recently, the other day, I actually found out one of my cousins, who I can probably imagine will probably get a little bit closer recently, but she is also aromantic asexual, because I saw, at Christmas, I actually saw the black ring on her middle finger on her right hand, and I didn't really ask about it, and it was only when we met up the other day that I said, I actually thought, well, I might ask her about it. So I didn't really feel like asking her about it in person. So when I went home, I like messaged her on Facebook and I asked her about it, and she told me, and I was like, oh, right. And she was like, oh, you're the first person that's actually noticed it, and we've been wearing it for a long time now. And I just kind of thought, well, yeah, it's just one of those things now, and I know about that. And so yeah, and then we had a really long conversation about it, and like made a few jokes, and we like spoke about Avon and things like that. And so yeah, I think it's strange how there's 2 of us in the family. although we only know about each other than the family members that I have mentioned before, but we only really know about each other, which is really weird, but it doesn't really matter to us. We know about each other and we're happy with the way we are. To be honest, actually, I'm really happy with the way I am now. Like, I've been quite happy with who I am for a while now, but it's kind of with this that I have accepted myself more. I only really care about those who are close to me, what they think, and even then it does bother me, but it doesn't bother me as much as it probably should, if you know what I mean. To me, with this, it's not really anyone's business other than my own and whoever I decide to tell. I've taken on kind of what my mum used to tell me since I was growing up, and that it's their problem, not mine, which is actually kind of very true, because at the end of the day, if someone has a problem, it is their problem, it's not my problem. It's not really going to affect me in any way, it's not going to bother me in any way, other than if obviously they're being really mean or really harsh, but it's still, at the end of the day, that is still just their problem. I haven't done anything wrong, I'm not hurting anyone, so why should it bother me? They're the ignorant one, not me, not anyone else. They're the one with the problem because they're the one living in ignorance. So yeah, that's me. That's me rambling about myself after such a long period of inactivity. I'm in a much better place now mentally than when I started this channel, well, whenever, I think it was like 2009, something like that, maybe a little bit earlier. I don't even know how old I was back then, but it was a while ago. And I don't think I've posted anything in 2-3 years now, and that was an update video that didn't really go anywhere, but that's because I got really busy after that, and I got really lazy as well, so just to be honest. But thanks for listening. I'll put a link for my Tumblr in the description. Bye-bye!